An early morning fire has razed a one-story commercial building housing computer and accessories dealers on Chomoyi Oshundairo Street in Computer Village, Ikeja, Lagos, destroying goods worth millions of naira. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency said the incident was reported around 1:55 a.m. via its emergency lines, prompting immediate activation of the state emergency response from its Lausa Command and Control Center. Response team arrived at about 2:15 a.m. to find the building fully engulfed in flames, with thick smoke indicating combustion. The agency said the entire upper floor was completely destroyed, but the structure was partially compromised and would require urgent assessment. The fatalities were recorded, though one firefighter sustained minor injuries and was treated on site. Asema said the building stored highly combustible materials which fueled this fire. The cause remains under investigation, with calls for a structural assessment and improved fire safety measures across Computer Village. Our reporter Miyen Akiri is at the scene of this incident and joins me live from the scene. Miyen, thank you for joining us. We understand the fire has been put out, but what have you gathered as to the cause of this fire from perhaps the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency or eyewitnesses?
Well, just like you rightly said, Lasema were here in the early hours of this morning, and from the reports we got from Lasema, they are still going through their own investigation to give authenticity as to what happened in the early hours of the morning. Well, I must say that the building is right behind me, and from my findings so far, I can tell you that there are 6 buildings owned by an individual, a story building each. And it is the one right behind me that caught fire in the early hours of the morning on Tuesday. And the entire floor upstairs was indeed razed by fire. 13 shops in total, 6 at the left, 6 at the right, and 1 downstairs. And as we speak, there has been estimation of goods affected, what millions and all that. And I must also say that there have been talks of high power voltage probably being responsible for this. But while we also take a look at what happened yesterday, where eyewitnesses and those who also live around the streets here said yesterday there was constant tripping on and off of power. But then there are also talks about a bit of carelessness or ignorance one way or the other. But let me start with Mohammed here, who is a security person in charge of the building. Well, Mohammed, can you tell us what exactly happened in the early hours of this morning?
In the early hours of this morning, the security called me at about 1:28. He said there's a fire outbreak, and I have to ask him which of the building is happening. So he has to describe the building particularly to me. So what I did is I have to call one person from that building to come out so that we can meet. And the second thing I did that time is calling the emergency number, which is the fire service. So I tried that, and unfortunately I got through to them, and they responded. They said they are already here. So at that moment, I left my home coming here. But at Sunday with our colleagues, because normally in this plaza, before you come in, you call us as the security committee.
Before you take us to Sunday, I want to ask you, when you called the first contact in the early hours of this morning, what was the response of the contact? From what I gathered, there are talks that the person you called said, "Why are you calling me so late?" And the person switched off his phone. True or false?
It's false.
Okay.
The person I called, actually, it was ringing.
Okay.
So there's no person I called that says the calling at that time is late.
Okay.
Or too early.
Okay. The person's phone was just ringing. The person didn't answer.
Yes. Maybe it's not. The phone might be in the city room.
Okay.
Why is in the parlor?
Okay. So that's Mohammed, telling us what probably went wrong. The fire started at about 1:30 a.m. and it tried reaching out to occupants, of this building where it's known for commercial activity. But unfortunately, they could not get access, inside because the rooms and the shops were under lock. And by the time Lasema officials and other agencies got here, they had to break into the building from the back, breaking walls to indeed have access and put off the fire. And I can say 13 shops, were affected in total. But in terms of the worth of goods affected, let me talk to the Yoloja of Computer Village and let's take a look at the worth of goods affected. You've been briefed about what happened here. Can you just tell us the worth of goods, affected in the early hours of this morning?
The worth of goods affected are into billions. One of the occupants of this building is the largest importer of laptops, well known in the market. Actually, he collapsed when he heard about the incident, and it's very unfortunate. And we just pray that government comes to their aid. We are going to be appealing to our amiable governor. We know that Governor Sanwo-Olu is a very compassionate person. He will look into the matter and help the traders because they need serious help now if we don't want them to something bad to happen to them, because it's their source of livelihood. I heard of an incident about 2 o'clock in the midnight yesterday. Somebody called me and said there was fire in the market. Immediately I got up and I called the chief security officer. In fact, we have to give kudos to our security in the market. They really rose to the occasion and we made calls to the fire service. Thank God that we have a working fire service in Lagos State. Thank God to our, we thank our governor for that, because everything, Lagos is working, Sanwo-Olu is working. We thank God for that. And they came. You could see that if not for the efforts of the fire service and the securities on ground, there are 3 buildings and only one that the fire started from was the one affected. They did not allow it to escalate to other buildings, which is a very good thing, and we are very proud.
Are you aware, or were you told if there was any form of ignorance also by occupants of the building? Because some have also gathered that before people left here yesterday, there was no lights. And probably some persons also did not switch off their power sources or whatsoever. Are you aware of such?
No. What I will tell you for sure is that for every building, there are security lights that will be left on, so that if something happens, the security agencies attached to the building will see the movement of people that might want to come and perpetrate evil. So there are security lights that were on, but nobody will leave lights of their offices on. I said maybe from there, when the NEPA brought lights and there was a surge, and the spark started from somewhere, but definitely not from inside the offices. But of course, security lights around the building.
All right. Well, that was the Iyaloja of Computer Village. But then I must also say before I go that in the coming days, while investigations are still ongoing, there will be structural tests to assess the building, because the entire top was raised and no pin could be taken. Tests will be conducted and decisions will be taken on the building.
Our senior reporter Miyen Akiri live for us in Computer Village. Thank you very much for that update.